Welcome to the Discourse here on Classic FM 97.3. I'm Sulaiman later, and today we'll be looking at something that concerns everyone, something that is tied to our national development. Such a tricky one, to the extent that until you look keenly and deeply, that's when you understand that this has a direct or indirect effect to what we're going through at the moment, even when it comes to the issue of insecurity. And that has to do with the war on drugs. Call it illicit drugs, but anytime you see that word trying to qualify the kind of activity on that word drug, it is talking about illicit and, of course, illegal and killer drugs. And, of course, we have an agency that is in charge of that, and that's the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. And today, it is what we'll be looking at. But just before we came on, there was a very big one, which has to do with a trans-border drug trafficker who's just been arrested around Sokoto state in Nigeria's northern region with about 1 billion naira worth of cocaine. And of course, another one was also nabbed with 70 kg of cannabis in Adamawa. So it's a national melee, and it's something that we're looking at today. And joining me today, it's Femi Babafemi, who is the NDLEA media director, and of course, he's also in charge of advocacy. Good to have you join me this afternoon, Femi Babafemi.
Thank you, Suleiman. It's my pleasure to join you on the program.
Thank you, and thanks for making out time to join us. A quick one here for our listeners. Going forward, the Discourse will always hold simultaneously on video. As I speak, Femi Babafemi is with me on Zoom. So even if you missed the show, you can also catch up on the Classic FM 973 YouTube channel to watch, a recap of what has transpired today. Femi, before we came on, I saw the release you signed, and that was a very big one. It is big, it is huge. Big. Before we start looking at what your agency is doing, I want you to give us some fresh perspective to that release. For those who haven't actually heard about it, tell us how it happened and what your agency is doing at the moment.
Yeah, if we're talking to the specifics of the arrest in Sokoto, this has to do with a man who obviously belongs to a cartel that moves drugs across the borders. And this fellow was about crossing from Nigeria to Niger Republic. He's someone based in Algeria by name Nkem Timothy. But on the passport, or his passport that he travels with, that is the ECOWAS passport, the name on it is totally different from his real identity. The name on the passport is Awalu, whereas his real identity is Nkem Timothy. And so he was moving this drug across to Niger Republic and ultimately to Algeria. And so for us, in that part of Nigeria, that was the first in the history of the agency, and that was a major one for somebody to be moving cocaine worth over 1 billion naira across the border. This fellow did not travel by air from Lagos or from Abuja. He traveled by road all the way to Sokoto just to avoid security agencies and trying to cross through the land border with such a huge illicit drug. That's a major one for us. I would believe that with the renewed fight against illicit drug in the country, that was a boost. That was an encouragement to the men and officers of the agency. I will believe that if we continue like this, then we'll probably be getting to solving the problem of insecurity that would have not only in Nigeria, but across the Sahel. Now, putting the problem into perspective, this this issue actually came to the national focus as a major malaise in 2018, when the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, released a report based on their research, which was carried out in 2017. And in that report, it was stated that about 14.3 million Nigerians are already on drugs. And it was also estimated that in another 30 years, that's by 2050, 30 million Nigerians will be on drugs. And that is, we cannot afford that in a country, in a population of just about 200 million people. So if we have to fold our hands, we'll probably have more than what we are battling with at the moment. That's the problem of insecurity, because if you dig deep into some of these problems, and that's the problem of insecurity, you will know that drug is basically behind all of that. Because if you see where raids are carried out by security agencies, busting the hideouts of these criminals, you will see, apart from arms and ammunition, you will see drugs being recovered from there. So there can only be one motivation. I mean, one major motivation, one thing strengthening them, and that is the problem of drug. And now in 2018, when that thing came out, I think the president realized that if this thing is not tackled headlong, we may have a major issue in the country. And that was why the president then set up Presidential Advisory Committee for the Elimination of Drug Abuse, called PASEDA. And the General Marwa then was invited to chair that committee. The committee worked between 2018 up till late last year, and that culminated, obviously, because they produced a blueprint for the country on how to tackle this drug menace. And that ultimately led the president to appoint General Marwa as the chairman of NDLEA, so that given his own experience, given his own work in that area, he's better positioned to tackle this problem headlong. And that's the result of what we've been seeing since January 18, when he was appointed. It's at a point I ask myself, what is happening? Because every day, I mean, the kind of information that we give out is probably 10 over 100 of what comes in every day: arrest upon arrest, raids upon raids, and all these things. So it means that this problem had permeated, had gone deep into the society. And unless we uproot it, we take it headlong, we may be having a great insecurity problem, just like we're having at the moment.
Yeah, we'll also look at that angle. The good thing here is that you've been able to establish, because I was almost going to ask you, why is it that all of a sudden we're getting to see a lot of arrests, a lot of bust, and now you just established that for us to say since 2018, General Marwa has been in the picture with those working to seeing how they can rid the nation of drugs, illicit drugs, so to speak. Looking at what we're seeing, I'm also looking at the release also today. One was also found in Adamawa State on a motorbike. Femi, you see, time was when you see these things around our airports. It would seem as if now it is in all our entry points or exit points, the borders, land. I don't know if there are any, maybe you also let us in on that, if there are any that you've been able to intercept around our seaports. But
of course.
So that means all go ahead.
Also, just about less than 2 weeks ago, we had one at the Tinkan port in Lagos. Cocaine worth over 32 billion naira there in Lagos at the Tinkan port. This came with a cargo all the way from Brazil, and that was again huge. Just imagine if that should come in again into our country, distributing that through their network, and imagine what that would do to the lives of our young ones. Imagine what that would do to the life, because this thing at the moment, from some of the information and analysis we're getting, our youths and our women, they are getting drowned seriously in this. And just imagine if that kind of quantity of cocaine were to get into the society again, that will probably again have worsened our situation. But fortunately for us, the eagle eyes of our operatives, through their examination of the ship, they were able to get that thing with the cooperation of other security agencies, and there we are. We're able to recover that and block that from going into the society. Just imagine that. So it's not just about.
Is it good? Sorry to cut you. So is it good to say, or is it safe to say now Nigeria? Because time was when Nigeria was more like a transit
nation. Yeah. No, we're now a consuming nation. We're not a consumer nation. We consume now. Whoa. We consume now. Suleiman, let me tell you something. You know, we are in a position to know a number of families, and I'm also sure it's not impossible that you also know some families, relations, friends, who have people that are suffering from this problem. I mean, drug addiction. You have quite a lot of young men and women also suffering from this problem. So it's not something that is far from us. It's something here. We used to be a transit nation, but now we consume. That's why you see them being desperate to move this. Imagine just in Edo also, about 2 weeks ago, in Benin City, in a forest there, we had to move in there with heavy security to recover about over 230,000 kilograms of cannabis sativa. That's it. Let me put that in a picture for you. That's about 7 long trailers loaded. Imagine again if that should go out to the society. We're talking of something serious on our hands, and that's why at the moment we believe, through the wisdom and the understanding of the chairman, General Mara himself, just last Thursday, he was able to bring together some stakeholders to put them in a committee to mobilize, to join the agency to mobilize Nigerians. You see, we don't want the people out there to see this problem as a problem of NDLEA or the problem of government alone. This is our collective problem. And so if it's our collective problem, it means that we have to all come together, take ownership of the battle, and fight it together. Because don't say that is the son or the daughter of Mr. A that is involved or that is affected. You never can tell tomorrow, because quite a lot of peer influence is causing some of these things. So you never can tell your own ward or somebody close to you may be a victim tomorrow, because even these people, they are victims. Because the moment they get hooked, they can go to any length to procure this thing. And that's why you see they create all manner of ingenious means to traffic, to peddle, to move these things around. And it's really, really, but we have to step up. I mean, we are stepping up our game at the moment at the agency to be sure that we do not only reduce the supply chain, cut the supply chain, but we're also trying to ensure that there is a reduction in demand of it.
I'm very sure the nation will be giving all its support, especially even the media, Classic FM and the discourse. That's why we're having this discussion. But you know, listening to you and looking at the amount of money running into billions of naira attached to some of these drugs that have been imported into Nigeria, what readily comes to mind is the kind of business and those who, because I don't think the very poor man in Edo State or in somewhere Adamawa or Sokoto will be able to procure some of these very expensive drugs. So what comes to mind is the big people in the society. Sometimes one wonders, when we read through a press release signed by you today, off the top of my head, I keep asking, who is that big masquerade that is behind, you know, someone on a motorbike? Because these sometimes are the couriers. So
Yeah.
have you been able to nab any of the big masquerade apart from one who's been on the run for about 10 years? By the way, before you answer that, how did that, you know, chase go? A man who's been on the wanted list for 10 years was finally apprehended. Was it last week by your agency?
Yeah, that's a major one for us. At the moment, you see, what plays out here is this. This thing comes in a lot of layers. Layers in the sense that about 2-3 layers of the trafficking may not even know who the big man behind the scene is really. From some arrests recently, you will understand what I'm saying. For instance, there was one at the Lagos airport. Someone brought in cocaine. He was discovered. Now, the Baron contacted someone, a clearing agent, to clear the consignment. The agent was nabbed, and through him, we're trying to track the Baron. Now, what the Baron did again, he sent, when we asked the agent, the clearing agent, to contact him to ask him, okay, he's gotten this thing out of the airport, come and get it at so place. He asked the man, he sent another person to him rather than him going to collect from the agent. That one was arrested. That one again was also used, okay, I've gotten the thing from the agent. Where do I meet you to deliver it? He said, take it to an hotel around Ajao Estate, there in Lagos. We also followed that one to Ajao Estate, hoping that he will come pick it. Instead of him coming to pick it, he sent another person again. You see how it goes. And most of these people, none of them probably knows him one-on-one. And these people also, they do not bear their names. Like I told you, the guy who was nabbed in Sokoto, the name on his passport, on his travel passport, is Awalu, while his real identity is Inkem Timothy. So it's a whole, it's a complex thing, but then as much as possible, and it's like, whether they swear to an oath or whatever, the trafficker would rather prefer to die than to even, but we're cracking. We're on the trail of, it's not an information we can be giving out to the public, but we're cracking.
Certainly, we're not asking, no, I think certainly we wouldn't be asking for any information that would jeopardize investigations. But the thing is that Nigerians will be excited and hoping to hear that big news that you've been able to catch one big baron that is behind some of these atrocities that are being perpetrated in Nigeria. You know, also listening to you, let's start talking about those smaller ones and we'll come back to the big ones. I call them smaller ones because we have seen young people, whether it is having, you know, you see them sometimes on a motorbike. They go with drinks, soft drinks, soda. And they never get to finish that soda. It's just a small amount of soda in a bottle. And then on the motorbike, it was pretty much later, you know, through the eye of our journalism practice, we realized that they've been tainted. Whatever is there is not that it's not that soft drink after all. It's something in there that has been mixed. So 9 out of 10, you get to see people who are really agitated, who are aggressive, who are just, you know, on the move, because they are high on something. Does that also come within the eye of your agency?
Absolutely, absolutely. They are all illicit drugs. What they used to put in those bottles of drink usually is codeine, raffinol, and all these illicit substances. And honestly, anywhere the agency has been going out to raid some of their spots, not only to take the users and rehabilitate them, because like I said, some of these people are also victims. So part of the responsibilities of the agency is also to, when you take these people, we're trying as much as possible to galvanize quite a lot of support to help our rehabilitation efforts, because like what we're doing at the moment is three-pronged approach. That is trying to reduce the supply, drug supply, trying to reduce the demand, and at the same time, trying to try to rehabilitate. We're trying to establish as many rehabilitation centers, reviving some of the old ones so that we can manage some of these cases and get them integrated back to the society. I remember I was in a sitting with General Marwa when some ideas about the rehabilitation was coming up. The society will also need to get involved again in this area, because it's not something, it's something that takes quite a lot of resources. And beyond that, we also need, we also have to accept these people as part of us. Let us see them as victims. Don't let us stigmatize them. So we need to, as soon as we are rehabilitating them, reintegrating them back to the society needs to accept them and also encourage them. Because when they are not encouraged or empowered, a number of them seem to go back again.
Absolutely.
Because
is that, sorry again, is that why I noticed something at the signage of your release? Because it looks like your office has an appendage. Time was just media, but now is your director of media and advocacy. Is that where the advocacy comes in?
Exactly. Now you get it. Yeah, exactly. Because we need to mobilize the people to understand this problem. We need to mobilize the people to have a different perspective about this problem. Let's not see these people as yeah, they are doing something that is bad, but then when they are rehabilitated, because a lot of people slip into that thing out of some circumstances and they stop. So we need to, where we do our bit to rehabilitate them through the efforts of everybody, we need the society to accept them, to encourage them, and also try whatever we could to empower them.
Okay, we'll be taking some questions in between all of this, but quickly, let me let our listener know that this program will also be up on our YouTube page. In case you want to catch up on what's been said here, you can go to the Classic FM 973, the YouTube page, as well as get to listen to this again and see how best you can help whoever is going through drug addiction and maybe someone who is dealing in drugs. As you heard, Femi, there's now a rehabilitation center that the agency is also working on to see how they can help some of these people. Quickly, you can reach us on WhatsApp on 0909 217 2973, 0909 217 2973, and of course you can send a text 33973 and the Twitter at Classic FM 973. Don't forget the hashtag the Discourse. And from Kowalewski in Delta State, he says, Slyman, please ask your guest, that's Mr. Femi Babafemi, if it wouldn't make everything economic sense if cultivation of cannabis were to be considered for export to countries where it's being legalized for recreational or medical use. It will make economic sense and at the same time reduce societal ills, since producers know they will make far more money from exporting it, thereby reducing local consumption. That's one of the questions. I don't know if that falls within your office, to speak about cultivation of cannabis. He's saying that it would make more sense. Have you heard that argument before now?
Yeah, it's something that has been coming forth. It's got something that has been coming forth, and like I told you during last Thursday, when the chairman, General Marwa, inaugurated the Special Purpose Committee of the NDLEA, that is like mobilizing the civil society and the NGOs and everybody to buy in and take ownership of this fight. I know that discussion came up, and it was one of the assignments given to that committee to look at, because it's an argument that has been coming forth. But at the moment, we still believe that it's a very risky venture. Let's even in the United States, where people refer to, it's only, I mean, in their federal law, it's not legalized. It's only in some states that it's legalized.
So you think it's you think it's too early? It's too early in the day, going by what you see.
Yeah, especially given our own situation, given what is happening at the moment, something that is not legalized and is being hugely abused. Imagine a situation where it is legalized. It should definitely go out of hand.
Tell us, because now you're here. There was this headline that went, out just recently about. It was attributed to General Marwa. Let us in on that. Let us know if that is the true picture, where he said sometimes some of these criminals who kidnap people ask for drugs as ransom. Yeah.
Of course, he wouldn't just say that. He wouldn't just say that without sufficient information. Look, that also takes us to the point where we're coming from. That is the kind of the level of insecurity we are facing in the country today. We believe that behind it is this problem of drug abuse, because these guys nobody in his or her normal senses. Imagine, I think it was the recent abduction, where the issue of even women being linked to the abduction. So just imagine, could anybody, whether man or woman, in his or her right senses, go out in the night? I mean, you have kids. Even if you don't have kids, you have younger ones. How do you go out in your normal senses to go and abduct somebody's daughter or son? Or how do you go on the road carrying a gun to want to waste lives? These are things that are, that are far away from a normal person. So you can only do that when you are on something. And that is why, out of desperation, when the supply chain is being cut from them, then when they abduct some people, they begin to demand, okay, from their relatives or family, you need to bring so drug, you need to bring that drug, you need to bring that drug as ransom. And that's a fact. It shows that that really is their fuel. Yeah.
It is crazy. It is deep, because that actually blew the minds of many Nigerians, that to think that someone will be kidnapped and the kidnapper calls you and says, I need certain kind of drug as ransom and in so and so quantity.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Honestly, that's it's part of what is happening at the moment, and that's why we believe strongly that we need to, everybody, both the state governments, the local governments, the civil society organizations, the NGO, the media, like you are doing your bit at the moment we are discussing this. All of us, we need to get on board to make sure that we take this message to these people. They need to know what this thing does to their mental state, what this thing does to their psychological frame, what it does to their lives, what it does to their future. So we need everybody on board to let these people know that this thing will not do them any good, will not do their families any good, will not do their society any good, and will not do Nigeria as a whole any good. So the earlier we cut them off from it, the better. And beyond that, we also need to be sure, like we said, that at the moment, it is estimated about 15 million Nigerians are on drugs. 15. What about the 15 million at the moment? That is huge enough. That is almost triple the global average. Almost triple the global average. So what we're saying is this: we need the remaining million. I mean, about that should leave us with about if we say we are 200 million, that should leave us with about 185 million people. What happens to these 185 million people? We need to make sure that they don't get into this cadre, into this ring. So we need to shield them. We need to mobilize them and let them know the evil in this thing, so that we don't lose another 15 million people by 2050, which is another 30 years to come. So we don't lose another 15 million into that ring. Otherwise, if that escape us, then what we're having at the moment will be a child's play.
So, you have your agency in all 36 states of Nigeria, as well as the FCT in Abuja, where you are operating from. Tell us, are you having some kind of collaboration? Because, the youth must really be concerned for our very young, who are the future of this country and the continent. Are they involved in some of the advocacy, part of your office at the moment in the States?
Absolutely. I can tell you that quite a number of organizations that are led by young Nigerians are involved in the advocacy work. And beyond that, like I also told you earlier, that last Thursday, a special purpose committee was inaugurated. And one of the mandates I also know is to see how we can have committees down to the grassroots, at the state, at the local government, at the world level, just to mobilize everybody to join the war against drugs. And quite a large, at least I know personally, I'm sure you know of a young fellow, a young Nigerian, Wilson Godalo. He's doing a lot of great work. I also know of David Folarami, who is also doing a lot of great work. They all have foundations, have organizations mobilizing Nigerians, going to schools, going to primary schools, secondary schools, going to universities to talk to our young ones, our young minds, to discourage them from going that route. We do. It's something, because we know a lot of our youths are victims. So we quite encourage a number of, our young people to get involved. No strata of the society is exempted.
Now you're talking about no strata of the society being exempt from this. One of that strata is the political class. Femi, you're not new in this. First, for those listening, Femi is my senior colleague, a journalist who's been doing this for quite some time. He was at one time with the EFCC doing the same media and advocacy job. But you would agree, that this doesn't just happen without the very big political class. Some people in the political class are on this, journey of drug abuse, and they've been able to really shield their lifestyles to the extent that maybe the agency wouldn't be able to, quite frankly, get hold of what exactly is happening in some of the lodges and places where these people are. How is it? How are you working? Everyone knows General Buba Marwa as a no-nonsense administrator. Is there anything in place that will help him and the agency take information from people just in case someone needs to blow the whistle on a very big person in the society?
Very good one there. Very good one there. I know. Don't forget that when Jeremiah came on board, in his first remarks, he did say that he was going to champion the agenda for government to allow the NDLEA to conduct tests on prospective public office holders, to conduct tests on even students going to universities, to conduct tests even for public servants, that is civil servants, those you are recruiting into the public service, so that from the beginning, before they even occupy the office, you either block them if they are addicts, so that they don't go and spread the virus within the organization. And we believe that is something that is worth it. It's something that should be encouraged. It's something that should be championed by the civil society. Again, I also know that some organizations at the moment, some federal parastatals at the moment, encourages or allows the NDLEA to conduct drug tests on some of their staff. That is something that I can tell you that is ongoing. And we believe this should be encouraged, and this should be the practice. Again, talking about whistleblowing, absolutely. I'm sure in a number of days to come, the agency is developing a communication strategy which will allow us give out numbers to the public to give information anonymously, because we don't want situations where we don't even want to know you. Yours is, you have information, you are sure of, pass it across to the agency. And something happened like that last week. I can tell you, somebody through our social media handles contacted us and gave us an information. And I can tell you that the person has been arrested.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. So it's something we encourage. It's something that works well. It's something that would help the work of the agency. We are working towards that to bring out some numbers for the public, some other communication channels, open it to the public so that they can give information anonymously. We don't need you to get involved. Just give information you are sure of, specific place, this area, this person. Then we don't have to go there announcing ourselves. There are ways to go about it. First, put in surveillance, trying to do preliminary investigation to be sure that, okay, this information is genuine, is authentic, so that we don't just invade somebody's house. And the moment we're able to establish there are some elements of truth in the information, they will move in. It's something that we're working on. That's a good one.
Well, quickly here, one, I think it will require you commenting on it. It's not a question. It's and of course another is a question here. This first one here from Soli Oshoke Ahmed. It says, well, he thinks that they are requesting for drugs as ransom, as you rightly said, because the market, because there's a market for it, and it also leaves no trace like marked monies and bank transfers. I wanted to comment on that because truly that makes sense, and that is also risky if anyone would actually heed the kidnappers and go get them the requested drugs. And from Olayinka is saying, listening to the big catch, the man who was caught going out of Sokoto State, out of Nigeria, he is asking how many people has been arrested at the passport office, because he's trying to talk about collaboration here, he or she, just Olayinka. So Olayinka said, birth certificate offices, on account of these fake documents these drug peddlers possess, it is highly impossible to get these documents without collaborators from someone in any of those offices to get those documents.
Yeah, you know, like I said again, no one agency can go on with its duties like an island, as if you're an island. Whether immigration, customs, the military, the police, I mean, these are all sister agencies, definitely will work together and will continue to work together. Like at the ports, at the airports, you have customs, you have the DSS, you have the immigration. They all work together with the NDLEA, and that will continue because, but then in any organization, you will always find the bad eggs.
Okay.
So let's not overlook that. It's not impossible. Some of those things are happening behind the scene, but then these people don't also forget that some of these documents could be procured outside the country.
What about, sorry to cut you here. What about this present registration for the national identity, number? How does that help you in cases like the one you just got in Sokoto State?
Yeah, of course, definitely, because it brings the data of individuals into a pool. So if the NDLEA needs an information, the NDLEA can always contact the agency that probably has the information that we need, that will help. I remember also recently, some weeks ago, the Director General of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, came visiting the NDLEA chairman, promising collaboration. So those are, for instance, because don't also forget that in NDLEA, it's not just about chasing drug peddlers, it's not just about trailing them, it's also about investigating how they launder the money. Yeah, it's also about investigating how they acquire assets with the money realized from this illicit trade. And quite a number of such assets are either being investigated or have been confiscated or have been forfeited to the government. So you have the whole gamut of things all woven together. And you need these other agencies to be able to unravel some things, to be just like when some other agencies are also handling some specific cases, they need the help of the NDLEA. So the same way NDLEA will need the help of DSS on certain cases, we need the help of immigration on certain cases, we need the help of customs in some other cases. Like the raid we did in Edo, we had the military supporting us, because inside that forest, for you to get out of that forest into the road, you need to trek for 2 hours. And the community came, and even the owners, the barons, and the workers in that place, they were armed. They were in the forest there shooting. So to have sufficient men on ground to be able to confront that, we needed backup from the military, and we got it. The same thing, we were in Rivers last week. Yes, the previous week we were in Rivers. We visited the GOC 6th Division there, also to solicit for the same support for our commands within that region, so that when we are going to confront some hardened criminals where we need extra firepower. We know who to run to. We know who to ask for. So it's something, I'll call it joint operations in some cases.
Well, for those just joined us, if you just joined us, you're listening to the discourse here on Classic FM 97.3, and our guest today is Femi Babafemi, who is the Director of Media and Advocacy of the Nigeria National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. And we're looking at the war on drugs in Nigeria, and is painted a perspective of Nigeria now getting into a user country as against a transit nation, and asking for collaboration from Nigerians on how to rid the nation of drugs, and of course protect and save our future, especially of young Nigerians who are no doubt the future of the country. Femi, you know, I heard when you said what General Marwa, who is the head of that agency, said about politicians. Now, let's go back there, because it's very instructive. Now, this is someone who has been there. He's still very much there. He's a leader in every right, and he knows what he's talking about. If someone of his caliber is saying that if I or you or anyone wants to go into political office, we must also subject ourselves to drug test, it means a whole lot.
Yeah.
In terms of policy formulation, in terms of good conduct, in terms of how you run the affairs of your state or agency, you have to subject yourself to that. Is the agency thinking of making this more formal? You know, because in everything in Nigeria, now we're talking about legislation, so that if tomorrow comes, if I say I want to go into any political office, I must subject myself to all that. Because if anyone knows that we have that in our statutes, you definitely stay off.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It's not just a discussion, and it won't end at that level. It's something we're pushing, and what we're doing at the moment is part of mobilizing the society for it. It's something that we need as a country, because, like you rightly said, if we have a legislation in place that allows the NDLEA to conduct tests on those that are coming into public office, that would do two things. One, it will save us from getting misfits into public office. Two, it will also create that fear in the minds of these people. If you know you have an aspiration to go to public office, you wouldn't want to go near drugs. So that, in a way, would help in the demand, drug demand. Because the man who probably has been using drugs knows that there is a law in place. You wouldn't want to go near it. It's just that, I mean, just like we have legislations across the states on the COVID-19 protocols, you know you can't go to certain places without your mask, because if you are caught, you risk jail time. So that on its own would mobilize quite a number of people to, it's not because they want to do it out of their willingness. No, it's because they fear the law, that there is a law there. If we fail to do this thing, the law will catch up with us. So the same way we are also trying to push for this kind of a thing, if government accepts the proposal and it is presented to the National Assembly for enactment, then it will be good for the country, ultimately, honestly, because just as we're tackling it from the roots, we also need to look at that. Like we said, it's not something targeted at any particular set of people in the society. We've talked about
I think I seem to have a glitch there. I hope we can get
about the students.
Okay, Femi, I think it looks like, well, there was a glitch there in that connection. I hope you can get back on this so that we can wrap up the show, quite frankly. The thing, yeah, we're hoping that Femi will log back in.
Hello, can you get me?
Oh,
okay.
Yes, and even
okay, I'm back.
Now that you're back, let me quickly give you the good news. The good news here is that the 10 minutes were lost. My producers have asked that we can take the 10 minutes. So we have another great. 8 minutes to go, because it's quite awesome. An interesting topic. It's quite something that is serious that we all, I can imagine someone, let's use the word you use, you know, for a better word, misfit. You can imagine someone who's been voted into office and, for instance, is a baron who's not been caught by your agency. You can imagine the people around him will be people who also indulge in such abuse of drugs. And again, you can also imagine the way such kind of person will use the apparatus of the state to shield those people as they perpetrate this kind of act that will be inimical to our growth as a nation. Now, so quickly, I'd like to talk about your officers and men, because they are on a mission that is so risky. If no one knows, all you need to is to pay a visit to your agency or watch some of the documentaries on those who fight against these barons. What are you doing? What are you doing to making them, you know, love and give their all? Because if fear comes into play here, these people will lose interest in ridding our nation of these, you know, illicit drugs.
Absolutely. That is one point, and that's one of the things I give to the chairman of the agency, General Marwa. If you know his antecedents very well, you will know he's somebody that will always want to leave a mark wherever he goes to serve, whether as military governor in Borno, military administrator in Lagos State, the Nigerian mission in Washington, Nigerian mission in UN, High Commission in South Africa, all those places he had to serve. And I also know that just within the few weeks he's gotten into NDLEA, he's been able to appraise and see some of the problems, some of the challenges facing the agency. And he's working around the clock to be sure that resources are mobilized for the agency to be able to carry out its mandate efficiently. And when it comes to, don't forget that if your staff don't know that you got their back, they won't be the kind of results you are seeing in the past few weeks. You won't be seeing them, because he met them and assured them that he will work for their welfare. He will look after them. He will look after their family. So that on its own is enough to motivate them, is enough to assure them that, okay, this person we know is not just, it's not somebody that just talks. It's a talk and do, if I'm allowed to use that. So there are quite a number of things that he's doing at the moment, meeting the relevant authorities to be sure that the welfare of the staff men and officers of the agency is taken as number one. And we realize, just like you said, that, you know, fighting drug is a huge thing, not only in Nigeria, even in the United States. And it's like taking the livelihood of strong men and women. You want to take away their livelihood from them, they will fight back. And we realize that, we know that. And he also is not lying low, as in he's not oblivious of that. So all the necessary things, what he needs to do, they are being done. Sufficient arms and ammunition are being processed for our men to defend themselves, because in the past, a number of them have been taken down in the course of their work. Like I told you, because some of the raids they carry out, some of these raids are not done during the daytime. Some of them are done in the dead of the night, like the one in Benue. They probably went into a forest around 2 a.m. and they came under fire. So if you are not well prepared, these people will take you down. So they had to repel the attack. They survived it and made sure that they didn't have any casualty. I also told you about the one in the Edo forest. They had to go, they came under fire. So jointly with the military, they had to repel, they had to fire back, return fire for fire. And they survived that. So when you put all of this together, you know that if you are coming into something like this, you know it's a risky venture, and you have to prepare for it psychologically, physically, and emotionally. And exactly, and that's why he's going around, like I told you before, apart from meeting the commanders in Abuja upon resumption, we've been to Rivers, where he met all the men and officers there. As I speak with you, I'm speaking with you from Yola. We're meeting the men and officers of the Adamawa State Command. And we go around, so he's been doing that to motivate and mobilize the men and officers of the agency so that they can do their best, with the assurance that he would also fulfill his own part of the bargain. And we are very sure that when those in authority, superior authorities, see these kind of things, they know that, yeah, they need to support this agency and motivate their men.
Quickly here, before we wrap this up, what do you have to say to young Nigerians and everyone listening now? Because this fight or war is everybody's fight.
You just summed it up, what I need to say, and that is, one, they need to realize the danger of drug abuse. It's not something that works for them as an individual. It's not something that works for their family. You know, it can only give you momentary feeling that you're on top of the world. But after it wears out, you are left, the same problem comes back to you again. So we need to get away from it. And two, the fight should not be seen as an NDLEA's fight. It should not be seen as President Buhari's fight. It should not be seen as the federal government's fight. It should be seen as our fight, because part of what we are facing at the moment, the insecurity challenges, these are symptoms of drug abuse. And so if we need to end this thing, we need to tackle the root cause, and that is drug abuse. So we need to come together and join hands, just like you are doing through this platform, to mobilize the people, so that ultimately we can rid our nation of this menace.
I'd like to thank you very much, Femi Babafemi, Director of Media and Advocacy, NDLEA. Thank you for your time. We do hope that, can you make us a promise if the General has that time anytime soon? He should be on the Discourse.
You know, he's not someone that will shy away from public discourse. He's just trying to devote much of his time at the moment to do the work, and I can assure you that as soon as he's done with the processes he's involved at the moment, he will honor media invitations.
Thank you very much. Keep in mind, Classic FM is behind you on this fight against illicit drugs. It's a wrap on the show. I'm Sulaiman Alede. Next week is another date. We keep in mind, don't forget that this will always be on our YouTube page, Classic FM 97.3. Go to our YouTube page in case you didn't catch up at the start of the show. This program will be up there for you. Bye-bye, and see you again next week.